Okay, so welcome to the next video for COMP3218, that's Game Design and Development at the University of Southampton. My name's Dave Millard and I'm here with...
Callum Spalforth. I'm one of Dave's PhD students and a demonstrator on this course.
Max Heyman, I'm a demonstrator on the course.
And I'm Tom Blount, I'm lecturing on the course.
Brilliant. Okay, so we've got quite a few games to get through for this video. I think we've got 4, but before we do, Tom, do you want to say what we asked the students to do?
Yeah, so this coursework was all about storytelling in games. So we asked our students to make another small game prototype that had a story engine in it. So something where the gameplay would affect the narrative and vice versa. And we said they could base their story on one of 3 fairy tales, either Rapunzel, the Frog Prince, or the Travelling Musicians.
Brilliant. Okay, so let's see how they did. Our first game is the Travelling Troupe.
Travelling Troupe, yeah.
I think this is... Yes, this is slightly buggy. I saw this in the expo, but it does work under most circumstances.
Okay, well, Callum is in the driving seat for this one.
What is that?
That is meant to be the start menu. Unfortunately, it looks like some of their menu assets didn't load.
Okay. Oh,
Cool.
okay. Oh,
So I will just...
this is a...
Right, so we need to go talk to the farmer first.
This actually looks quite smooth for...
Yeah, quite surprised.
So we find a lot of 3D games often are sort of a little bit sluggish in the WebGL build, but this one actually seems to handle quite smoothly.
Right.
You're old and tired and not much use in the fields anymore.
What are you trying to say?
So how are you selecting, by the way?
So it's just 1 and 2. The
okay.
You're meant to be able to click on the dialogue choices, but unfortunately that doesn't work.
Okay.
So
It is a good thing you saw this in the
I'm
expo.
glad you're here. Oh yeah,
It does
well it
look
does
top.
seem there are 1 or 2
Oh, yeah.
conversation replies.
So we could just
Okay.
exit the conversation.
So we can just...
It's my only option. All the other livestock will make me money over time. You just cost me more and more.
Aha.
I need to go and pay my car.
So I better go and say
Okay.
my goodbyes to the others. So
your mission is to say goodbye to the other animals before you sent off to make glue? What's the...
whoa.
Seems
okay,
a bit
little stuttering.
bit harsh.
So you go talk to the sheep. So we can go try this lock here, and we'll find that it doesn't do anything at all. So
Okay,
talk to the
nice to
sheep.
get some feedback.
Those sheep are very white.
They're very white sheep.
I do really like the sort of camera zoom when you have a dialogue. That's a really nice touch.
Yeah, moving in, it's nice, isn't it?
I quite like the whole interface design as well. It's slightly more organic.
Should we go for what I jumped the fence if I wasn't so old? Should we do that?
Yes. Not like there's a lot to do here either. I've heard the big city is the place to be. Right, so we're starting to see some of the travelling musicians here. Right. So
Okay.
not that I'd be able to get out with the lock on the gate. The farmer's the only one with, and it's missing the words "the key."
Yeah.
So again, it feels a bit like this is sort of more the illusion of choice. Like we're
Yes.
being given 2 options that both lead to basically the same response.
This is fine.
Which is fine. It's actually a very good thing to do. It saves you having just a massive exposition dump you give the player
Yep.
something other than sort of just clicking through responses.
So this entire opening section, we have to go and grab the key here. This entire opening
The
section.
key is floating on an island.
So the sheep does explain that the farmer crashed his car into here and lost his keys nearby.
Ah, okay.
Okay.
Did I miss that?
We went through the dialogue fairly quickly.
Okay.
But yeah, so this is all the illusion of choice until we get out of here.
I like the inventory.
Yeah, it's quite cute.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's right,
a
we're off.
little bit of frame rate
We've
dropping.
escaped, so we need to go to the big city.
So there we go.
There we go. There's the city.
There's the big city.
Yep. Big sign there.
So again, nice. It's actually sort of environmental storytelling. It's
Yeah, yeah.
showing you where
It's
to
good.
go.
So now we bump into
It's a
the
cat.
cat. Another animal out on the road to the big city.
What were you going to say? Am I headed the right way?
Why is there just a cat in the middle of the road?
Because it's been cast out by its owner.
Why
Okay.
not come with me? He's going to be a musician.
Cool, let's become musicians then. Alright, so this is actually one of the first choices I believe we actually get.
So do
And
we
we
take
can-
the cat with us or
We
not?
can choose not to take the cat with us if we want. So I propose we do take the cat with us, because if we don't, the game glitches.
So let's do that. So you've got to go and catch some mice now,
Mm-hmm.
which donkeys are famously good at.
Yes. It's
Yeah.
their opposable hooves, right?
The problem is when the mice pick up the donkey and move it around.
So we just...
So,
we-
you're
we
literally
go-
just collecting the mice.
Yep, so we go and grab 5 or
You're
so
sort of
these
like a
mice.
giant furry mouse hoover.
Where is he putting them all? That's the question.
Let's not ask.
How many mice do you need? Because there are...
It's not I'm not actually sure. I was told in the expo about 5.
Alright,
But I
well,
don't-
you've got about 5.
So we talked to this cat.
Pretty good.
How's it going?
Tell him it's enough and see if he does.
Alright, it's enough. Cool. So now we have a cat following us.
I like how you make the decision.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, so
So
You've
we
still got
have
mice.
we have the chicken around here.
those are chickens.
So that mouse is getting in the way, so let's just get rid of it. So the next thing we want to do is we can actually pick up this.
Do you not want to get the chicken?
Well, okay, let's
Yes,
talk
we
to the
need-
chicken.
We need the bucket before we can talk to the chicken.
No, we can talk to the chicken. Oh, it's a duck. Okay.
Duck.
You're pretty well spoken for a duck.
I'd say all of these animals are pretty well spoken.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, speaking animals are just flat out well spoken, right?
Yeah. Small farm down the
Okay.
road.
Cool. Love to
Right,
go there.
so
Stay with a group of
4
4.
at least.
So if I find more travellers, I'll come back to you, duck.
Okay,
Alright.
that's good. I quite like that. There's like a nice little natural limit on.
So,
So
if we pick up this bucket,
We can grab the bucket.
does whoever want the bucket make note of the fact that we already have it?
So the
Oh,
tiger is the one that wants the bucket. Have you got any water? Here it is. Ah,
Yes.
okay. So it does immediately tell us that it's fine. We have it.
Would you like to come along?
Cool.
And now we can go and get the duck, presumably.
Yeah,
As we
I
do
guess.
group of
Yeah.
4 with the duck. So interesting that they've mixed the animals up.
Again, I think that's because there are very few dog assets in.
Asset problems, perhaps. Of
Follow
course,
me. Right. So now we've collected enough animals that the game won't glitch.
So it's a bit.
Oh, I see.
You can get out of there.
Right,
All
okay.
right then. That's fun.
So let's get back. Get on the road to the city.
All right.
Which way could it be? Oh, it's this way.
I'd say we should not follow the sign, but I don't believe there's anything that happens if we don't follow the
So
sign.
it's nice
Hello.
signposting of. It's about to turn dark, and this looks like a great place to stay.
Okay, so a little cutscene.
So still WSD to move
Oh
around.
wow.
So there's a nice bit of camera movement there as well, rather than just cutting.
Yes, it would appear there are robbers inside.
Well, then we've got to scare them all away. How about we make some noise, knock over some furniture or something?
Surely you're trying to set off the alarm.
Try to hide somewhere, then pop out behind them and sing. Alright? Probably distract them for a while to help you
Okay.
get past some of them with my quacks. Suppose that's our only option if we want to stay here. Alright.
So I'm not sure what the significance of like zooming in on the car.
No,
was
that's not
there.
random.
So
it feels like it should have been significant. Like maybe we
Also,
could get the car and leave or something.
also they've kind of narrated the plan,
But
Yes.
how do we expect it?
but I'm not really sure how. Yeah, how we go.
So
about
it's
doing
not. So I'll just demonstrate this. They've not immediately pointed out what happens here. But if this robber
yeah.
sees us and decides it doesn't like us, then
Game over.
So that's a robber.
after one of your companions was caught, the rest of you were quickly rounded up. The thieves tossed you out onto the street where you tread solemnly onwards. Disheartened, one by one your friends go their own way until you find yourself returning to the farm. Your fate is a sold animal.
it. Okay.
And then we go back to the.
Right, so it gives us the end.
So
and then
what it doesn't
as
mention
well.
is I think you can press 1, 2, 3, 4 to swap between these different animals.
Yes, you can. So I can now be
Oh,
the
right,
be the
okay.
cat or the tiger or the invisible duck.
Oh, is the invisible? Is the duck just? Oh, the
Oh
duck
no, I'm
is-
there. Okay, I'm in
so,
the ground.
So all you can see is the duck's head.
This is great stuff.
It's like a.
It's like a mole. Oh.
And the tiger's
Fantastic.
caught on the.
Yeah, so again, there's a few small issues with the.
So what is the
Okay.
advantage to swapping animals? So the duck mentioned that the guards.
They could distract them or distract the robbers or something.
So
So
I believe I
like
have to go to
I
this
do like
mirror
I
and
do
quack into it.
those kind of area things. It's really quite nice.
Nope.
And the
Right.
fact that they're different
So-
sizes and they're combined in such a way that you kind
So-
of creates a moving
so I'm
maze.
just-
That's nice.
So your goal is to get
I'm
the
trying to-
donkey to go and kick stuff
I'm
over.
trying to push the bloody capsule collider, but it's not working. You know,
So if you go and be the donkey,
so because
He's
we're
looking down at you now,
I think it's because we've glitched into the floor.
but they're all looking down at you now, so that's going to make it easier for you as the donkey.
Right. So if we switch to the cat, say.
But what does the cat do? Because we've been told, oh, the donkey's got to go kick stuff
yeah,
over.
the
So
donkey.
why
The donkey's what we need. The donkey's going to knock over that shelf over there in the garage.
All right.
So that in fact, I think you can go around the other way. Can't you go around the outside?
So we can just go through here, I think. So one
Right.
fun thing you can do in this is you can actually get stuck on walls. Is you
So-
can push the enemies out the way. Is it
So
this
you're
one?
gonna Go and knock that over.
So you knock that over, then that Yep.
Shut up, hid behind the lamp.
They'll come in to see what's going on.
And
So
then
what do
it
we
doesn't
do?
tell you this, but there is a key you can press to scare them off, which is E.
Okay.
Okay.
So now,
Alright, so it did say I'll pop out from somewhere and then start singing at them.
yes, and some sound effects would have been quite nice there actually,
Yes,
just to make
so
it
they don't
clear.
run
that-
away.
So what we can do is we can actually push these around to make this game easier.
Is that
So what are we
intentional?
supposed
That's not intentional, no.
So do you remember what we're supposed to do next?
So,
So I
presumably we have to scare them all out of the house.
So I think the cat has to go and honk the. How do we get in there?
There's a door around the other side.
But it's got
Someone's
someone staring at it. Someone's staring at both of these.
Maybe you just
Alright,
have to
do
it
this.
quickly. Or, how long do they chase you for?
Some period of time. Oh,
Oh, you just push the
and
cat
well,
into
Yeah. Okay.
So it's got a sort of a similar theme and gameplay to some of the other games that we've seen before in previous
Yeah.
Let's Plays. However, it feels a little bit less coherent. Like, they don't really know quite what they're doing with it, so they've got all these different sort of things that you have to do as the different animals to sort of get the idea of teamwork, but they haven't explained that very clearly to the player.
And they're not signposted very well in the level itself.
So when I was saying, oh, it looks like that zoom on the car is important, it turns out it was, but they never really mentioned why.
Yeah.
I wonder.
I mean, in terms of let's talk about the overall quality of it. So
Just aggro them all.
And
Yep.
then lead them outside. So how do the controls feel? Because it looks quite smooth.
yes.
Aside from when they occasionally stutter due to the
That's
due
probably
to
the
the Mac
recording.
though. Yeah, the controls feel fairly good, honestly. They're fairly crisp. Yeah, there's no major issues.
So yeah, so quality wise, it looks very controllable. It looks good. It looks very nice. I like the fact you've got different types of levels. You've got this house layout level. You've got the outside exploratory bit where you recruit the animals. They've got these little simple cutscenes which I think are effective.
Yeah, particularly
So,
the camera zooms for
one
the dialogue.
one thing the
Yeah,
game
it's
doesn't
nice.
one thing the game doesn't tell you until you win, if that is indeed possible, is the number of animals that you bring into this sort of final level
Yeah.
determines both how big the level is and
Right.
your part of your ending as well.
Okay, so yeah. So
Yeah.
again, similar to some of the ones we've seen in the past, where you have the option of not bringing all the animals with you.
So the problem here is I have absolutely no
question is
idea
why.
what you're supposed to be doing. And like the link between the abilities of the animals and the goals are really
Quite
tenuous.
disparate.
Yeah.
So I think we were meant to honk the horn on one of these somehow.
Yeah.
So just following your path.
So I think the cat can knock over the kitchen cupboard or something.
Yeah, but I mean, really?
So if I do that, all right. Well,
You're
that's
trapped there now.
yeah. I'm a little stuck right now. I'm not careful. This is gonna go.
Badly wrong.
Oh. Yeah, like that.
Okay, so in terms of the narrative and the story engine, remember we're looking at two things here. So one, which is does the things that happen in the game affect the story, and second is does the things that happen in the story affect the game?
And how much agency does the player have over that?
Yeah.
And it feels like, so if the size of this final level changes depending on what animals you picked up, then yeah, it has an impact. But given
Yeah.
that we've got no indication of that,
Yes.
It's not a particularly meaningful choice.
like if again, it's one of these things where there is no benefit to not bringing the cat with us, for example,
Mm,
other than it saves us catching mice, but it's not.
yeah. Mm. So and the narrative elements, the bits which are not so that you make a lot of those sort of choices diegetically, which is quite nice. You know, you make them in game. You're making a choice whether to help or not, rather through making indirect choices.
It does still have a lot of sort of pass-fail narrative choices though as well. Particularly this last bit sort of very much adheres to that. Well, either you succeed the stealth section or not, kind of.
Yeah. And it's not clear to me that there's not an awful lot of narrative being. in these levels, other than the size, there's not a lot of interaction between the state of the story and what's happening and what's seen, I think. Okay, what about the actual the writing itself and the use of protagonists, the pacing, the theme of the story, and the way that resonates with the mechanics of the game, those kind of elements?
So I touched on this earlier. They're definitely going for that whole sort of theme of teamwork and working together, particularly for this last level. It's a shame that it seems to be done in a sort of fixed fashion, in that each character has to go and do one particular action rather than sort of let the player decide how to sort of use these animals as a team to beat it up.
Yeah.
But I mean, they've obviously had some good ideas about how they could evoke that theme. Technique-wise, I do really love the camera zoom on the dialogues. It makes it very clear who's talking.
Yes, and it brings together those two different modes of play as well, the kind of the dialogue scenes versus the exploring scenes. They are using cutscenes, they are using some of those things. They could be developing the characters a lot more. It's a shame they haven't got a little bit more characterization on the characters, but yeah. So overall, I can see what they're trying to do. It just doesn't quite come together.
Yeah.
Because they haven't been wholly successful with all the elements. They haven't been able to distinguish between the different animals quite well enough. That therefore makes them gel as a group.
The switching feels very, very token by comparison.
Yeah.
So the duck is apparently invisible, so it's fine.
Yeah.
And it is still very, very buggy as well. I'll beat the horn.
It's a little bit buggy, but I mean, there are some nice looks here.
Tiger should be able... I just used the tiger though.
So that's giving you a little hint.
Okay, but I must admit, I thought...
But again, why is it...
Why is it only the tiger that can do something with the horn?
Yeah, and why is it not telling us with a bit of dialogue, with a bit of narrative? Why is it popping it up as a separate piece?
Come on, I'm so close though. Stop.
Okay.
Alright. There we go.
Let's see if you can do this. Manage to beat the horn.
Yep.
So again, I'm not quite clear why you're trying to do these. So does each action only attract a certain set of the guards?
Seems that way.
Although I think they made it... There we go.
There we go. So you managed to scare them all off.
Success! You and your friends are able to scare away the robbers, safely assured they definitely won't be coming back. The house is taken as lovely and cosy, warm and inviting. In fact, you all decide that you'll stay more than just one night. And yes, we live there to this day.
That's the end of the story.
Right.
Yeah, okay. So a lot of the bits are there, but just perhaps pulling in slightly the wrong directions and not quite working together. But not a bad attempt at all. Shall we move on? Okay, so our next game then is...
Princess Frog Ltd.
Princess Frog Ltd. Alright. That's a great title. I'm hoping that it lives up to the title.
Is that a registered company?
No, it's referring to the limited number of princesses and frogs available.
Cool.
Right, got it.
Here we go. Pre-simulation quiz. Welcome to your test simulation.
Yes, I remember this.
Before we begin, we'd like to complete a short multiple choice questionnaire.
Schwaz.
Another schwa, yeah. Press continue when ready. Okay.
Alright.
Callum is driving again.
I'm guessing we don't have any extra agency here, so let's hit continue.
So they did mention in the expo, occasionally, if this is full screen, the text sometimes doesn't come up, so if you just exit and enter again, it should have
Okay.
Personal gain or societal gain?
Oh.
Enter answer here. Do we enter 1, 2, or do we have to spell the entire
Can you
thing?
put 3?
Ooh, Brexy.
No, that's mean.
Alright.
Let's
I've
be,
lost
let's
the
be-
ability to type though.
Let's be good people. Let's put.
Societal game, you reckon?
I reckon let's put societal gain.
Alright. Question 2. Which of the two is more important? Enter the appropriate number. Personal welfare. Personal values.
So we've been good here. 2.
We could mix it up, be good and evil.
So
Well, not that it's particularly evil.
It's not
Yeah.
good and evil, it's just
Yeah.
what are your personal values, I guess.
Let's go for welfare.
So there is a slight. It's not quite clear yet why they're asking these questions.
Yeah.
But
So I know why, but I'm not.
there is a problem, which is that they're not nuanced enough for you to get interesting answers. So you know the basically people. It's quite clear that there is a good and a bad answer, right? Whereas I think so. I think if you said what's personal, if you say personal gain is better.
But it's asking which is important to you.
Yeah, but even so, I still think it's difficult.
So I'm going to keep quiet for now. I'll elaborate on why they've done this in a minute.
Yeah, but what they could be doing is asking questions where, where the answer is less obvious. So they should be doing things like what are the things that you get value from, right? And one of which is the love and respect of your peers. Material things, that's the kind of thing where there are multiple right answers and you have to kind of pick one. Right, Princess Frog Ltd.
Okay.
Try and match frog profiles to princesses and submit the match. If the match is successful, your reputation increases, you get a rise. You have to match the bone. Okay. So I think I did see this in the expo, but I came in after this text, so I saw them playing the game. I think.
So we've got to make a good match.
Yeah.
So it's kind of text heavy so far.
Sort of Tinder for frogs.
Your assault income protection.
It's definitely got elements of papers, please here as well.
Yes.
Your family is being
well
cared for.
Oh yeah, this is papers, please all over, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Your salary used to cover the monthly expenses, but
so they did say again, just because it's a short prototype, they did some of this in text, and ideally, if they had sort of more development time, they'd have liked sort of a little sequence where you walk to work and you sort of go through some of these things in gameplay.
One thing that would have been a nice improvement would be just speeding up the rate at which the text types.
Yeah, it's always the problem with
possibly stuff, but
can we
text that unveils like this can be really frustrating. All right, so presumably we have to make some moral choices based on the fact that we can get money easier if we make dubious moral decisions.
All right. Let's just look at the front.
Right click to zoom in and out, left click to open and close profiles. And once you select the frog profile, place it in the designated area and press the button.
Sounds simple enough. You are now ready to begin the simulation.
Yeah.
Alright, so
it's kind of like... Yes.
It's at least...
Blind date with frogs. It's good.
I'm at least glad that if they're going to do this sort of very textual approach to the start, they've bothered to wrap it in the fact that it is a simulation. They have they've made it diegetic within the world. And I think that's quite nice.
Wrangler. So this looks good. We've only got... So we can open them by right-clicking, is that right?
Left.
Left click to move them around, right click.
There we go. So you have to right-click to zoom in, then you left-click on it to open it up.
Amelia loves long walks in the palace gardens and reading her books. Hates intrusive people being told what to do. She aspires to become a writer.
Alright,
So what about Frank? What's Frank up to?
I don't know.
So we have multiple frogs.
There's another one there. A hard-working doctor.
Dedicates his own lives, enjoys volunteering, dislikes selfishness.
Alright. You go there, Frank.
So we're going to have like a maybe pile and a...
I like the fact that you can organise them yourself. That's quite fun, actually.
A Spanish art collector with an eye for anything rare and beautiful, loves antiques, his grandmother and paella, hates lies and deception.
Very impressed with your pronunciation of paella.
I live with a Spaniard.
Okay.
So far, they both sound...
Hans van Kieka?
Yeah.
Is he a frog as well?
Oh, tulips.
Tulips.
It's the gardening thing done.
Is that animals made of Gouda, like cheese, or...?
Gouda animals, weed, and his bicycle. Hates dancing in uphill roads.
Okay, he was clearly high when he wrote his profile.
There might be some stereotyping going on here, I think, but yeah. Okay.
So it's all
David
matching
Jumper.
with Amelie.
Yeah.
Oh, how many of these are there?
I'll
Bartender,
give you 65 coins if you match me with the princess.
Okay.
Here we go, okay.
So we got no money at the moment. Presumably we get a salary.
Loves anything with alcohol, organising bets and smoking. Hates nagging woman noise.
I don't... So he's not going to be a great match.
So what is she like again? She
That
likes
must not be too hasty.
long walks.
palace gardens, books, sun, and being told what to do.
Yeah. Well, let's try...
My
goodness, there's hundreds of frogs.
So he's the one that's...
Okay, let's put him onto one side so we know he's the right.
He's the bad guy.
He's the bad guy.
These are the possibles.
These are all possibles. In fact, one of them...
Alright, this is the last one. Frank Rip. I'll give you 150 coins. Sells whatever he can get his hands on
Alarms, got it.
in an attempt to maximise his profits. Enjoys late nights out for product acquisition. Dislikes alarms, guard dogs, and other home security.
Although, interestingly, there's nothing in there that contradicts what the princess wants.
I mean...
Should have a lot to
should I say she hates intrusive people? So maybe people who break into her
breaking
house.
and entering is...
Let's do a good one. So one of the ones up above, like gardening or like flowers. Or something.
Yes.
No.
He grows tulips, hates dancing.
He's a doctor.
A doctor, but there's nothing here that's saying that a doctor is
there's
good.
nothing clearly that says we should definitely match one.
No, just quite nice.
I
I reckon we go with the
Tulip Man.
Tulip Man. I reckon Tulip Frog,
So do we drop both in here?
and then you hit the button. I think.
So if I drop those in there, and then come on.
And then button.
Maybe you don't have to have the princess in there.
Hit. Hey,
Yeah.
good call. Alright,
Here
so
we go.
So
Ah.
we lost 25 money for doing that.
We're minus 25. So what do we get?
Did it tell us why?
So I'd like to
What's
know
the
what
warning? What's the warning?
Your
Eviction money. Your
you go
account
into overdraft.
risk combined with your pending rent installments leads
If
to
your
believe that you're
balance is improved by you taking legal action, not limited to eviction. So I'm not quite sure how much our rent is every month, is the only thing.
I must admit,
The balance of money in and
25 coins.
but it
Yeah.
went down by 25, and that was all very mysterious. And I think some feedback on what we actually did would have been nice.
And like, how much do we get for being paid, for example?
Oh, why have we booked a holiday?
Oh, we booked a holiday.
That's going to cost us 80. Car
Yeah.
insurance.
After replacing
Okay.
most of the car, we have to.
Oh my god, it's like a triple whammy.
So they definitely seem to be hammering home, hey, you should take these bribes. Or else.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, let's take a bribe.
All right.
So let's
So-
not think too much about this. Who's going to give us the most money?
Loves tea with friends, organising big
no,
balls.
Who cares what we're talking
Alright,
about?
alright.
She's going to get whoever gives us the most money. Let's have a look.
I see how you work, Dave.
John the
Well,
Frog.
surely she can just go on
Nope.
again and she'll pay for another month's subscription.
Come on.
65.
65,
65 from David Jumper, though.
So
David, it's the
65
same.
to the frog with the
And 110 if
Yeah,
we match.
we need
high
Philip
profile
Khan.
gambler, loves easy money.
Hates being exposed
Yeah,
and
let's do
lucky
him.
people.
He's good. We'll put him
Could you...
in. So let's see what that does to our reputation. Just try it.
I'm very bad at putting the things in...
That's the perspective a little bit.
Ah.
So that one went red.
So,
Our
interesting.
reputation's gone down.
So
we got
made
minus 10.
we made a huge pile of money there.
Yeah, but also we spent 80, 50, and
I thought we got. I
presumably
thought we
25
got.
for rent.
I thought we
Yeah.
got the 50 back. Or is it?
I don't know.
Okay.
Well, even if
it
it
was
says
a
we-
receipt for that.
We still spent 50.
But you had car
Right.
insurance,
Alright.
surely they cover it.
Oh no, a partner's buying spree.
So we had 130. Even so, no. Okay.
So the problem is we're being hit with so much stuff. We have no choice but to take the.
That's the thing.
bribes,
It's a
right?
nice idea, but they definitely seem to be sort of hammering home.
The balance is.
But do you remember what you said in the psychological quiz at the start when they said, "Oh, a bribe is acceptable"?
But they said we get a raise if we
Yeah.
did it at the start. Like, and I didn't feel like getting a good match gave us a raise.
So our partner's been on multiple buying. So my feeling is that I know they need to introduce these things quickly, but they're coming in too quickly.
It feels like we should have had one day where we do our job properly and we make a tidy profit, and then this sort of corruption.
And then the
starts.
pressure needs to
20,
be slight.
40,
So it needs to be
30.
okay. So
Oh, it could just be a lovely bonus, and we say, "Oh no, we don't.
Yeah,
need to.
yeah,
we're
exactly.
diligent," and then we start getting hit with all
and,
of these massive
and then
bills.
maybe and again we're in negative money.
We're
now.
still
So
not
if we
clear
were,
that we got money because it doesn't tell you like a
Yeah.
breakdown of what you got or what
Yeah,
you
so
didn't
it'd
get.
be good to know what you got from doing the job. And also imagine if we started off with 100
Can you click
and
on
what we were seeing was we've got
Kinda-
90 and now we've got 80 and
Yeah,
now
exactly.
and then the pressure is beginning to build.
So exactly. So papers, please. At the end of every day, gives you a very clear breakdown.
Yeah.
You earned this money for much money for doing a job. You lost this much
You
money
hate
for doing a
someone.
bad job. You lost this much money for rent.
I think it's interesting that you don't really realise until
he's
you
back.
play an alternative or you see someone else try to do it how well balanced Papers, Please is, because it's very, very
It
finely
looked like
balanced.
walks, so.
So travelling and beaches. But
Okay.
of course we.
Are we
So,
doing this one properly, or are we?
so I don't know
we
because
got a lot of money there.
We've got a lot of debts incoming. from
Medical
the looks
bills.
of it.
We've got 170,
100 there,
30
there,
40
40 there, and
another
20 there.
So it's
So-
190.
So even taking these bribes, we're losing money.
Yeah.
And I think, elaborating what you were saying, to have any kind of meaningful moral choice, it has
Yeah.
to be meaningful, and losing the game
And that's it is a case of
because we have to do bribes is not
so
particularly.
the other thing is about we made the decision at the beginning, and I'm guessing the reason we've done that is they want to refer to it at the end and to say this is what you actually did.
so.
But again, the problem is there are not really any negative consequences to our decisions here, right? Some unhappy princesses.
maybe.
So whereas again in Papers, Please, you see people getting killed. right? If you make
100 if we match with a princess.
And that's it. So if there was some sort of like news clip between this thing that said, this notorious gambler has like bankrupted this princess.
Right.
Ruined the princess. Yeah.
So the most money we can make is from Pepinrana, was it? No. Mitsos Poulos. An escort. Expensive, hates being poor. Alright, so if we match her with the escort,
go for it.
We should get a pile of gold. So our money goes up by an indeterminate. Okay.
So we're up to 195, and then well, actually not quite 170 came out, which is a bit odd.
So the reason they had that quiz at the beginning was because I was speaking to them in the expo and said they were very inspired by the way Prey does it. So I don't know if you play Prey, but they give you this sort of quiz at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then throughout gameplay, they put all of those things you said in that quiz to the test.
Yes.
So they'll ask you questions about the good of the many or the good of the individual.
Yeah.
And there are lots of points in the games where it very, very subtly sort of not quite tricks you into sort of one of these two moral options, but then at the end of the game it sort of says, aha, this is...
But the problem is, so I think that's great, but they're not really doing that.
But the problem is we're not seeing those consequences.
Because you're not seeing those consequences, and who is losing? So actually, if you don't do this, your family
that's it.
It's like the old thing. If you ask somebody, is it wrong to steal? Most people say yes, it is. But then if you said, well, imagine, if you steal a loaf of bread to feed your children who are starving, and everyone would say, well, that's fine, right? Because context is everything. But I mean, I said, we're kind of perhaps getting too much into that. So I think kind of as an idea, it's a great idea.
It doesn't feel like there's a reward. It just feels like we either lose money or lose reputation.
Yeah.
Whatever we like.
Well, that one he gained money and gained reputation.
That's because we had a particularly
somebody was
unsavoury mafia member willing to bribe us to go with someone that actually had very similar interests to this mafia member.
Okay, so maybe there is more to it. Maybe there are...
Perhaps some people come out of the dating pool once you match them, and there could be people that match them better.
So I remember them saying there's also just a chance. Whether it's, so basically what you're doing here is it's all probabilities.
Really?
What you're doing is if you make a good match, there's a higher probability that they will hit it off.
Okay, so that's interesting. I feel that...
So you're kind of dancing with the chances.
It sort of makes sense that even if you match two people who are super high compatibility, it might not work out. Yeah. But for a puzzle game, it feels like that should be just sort of a calculation that happens. There shouldn't be randomness in puzzle games.
You shouldn't be punished for getting it right.
Yeah, exactly. If you make the best choice you can and you still lose reputation, then it's not a fun game.
Although that if you are using chance in a game, then the advice is make a game about the probabilities, and that is sort of what they've done.
Or for example, just make it more forgiving. So if you match two people who probably won't get on, but hey, maybe they suddenly hit it off. So have a small percentage chance that it goes well rather than goes badly.
Yes. Yeah.
Unless you match two people who are so good that even the random chance doesn't affect it, but even then.
So, what did they say? I mean, so actually, let's talk about quality. So the overall quality of this, it's nicely put together, right? I mean, I love these little portfolio things.
Yeah.
They work really well. The interface is nice. I think the fact that you can organise stuff on your desk is actually quite satisfying.
It's just lacking the feedback. That we're sort of still struggling to tell why our money is going up or down.
Yeah.
Also, did you say organising your desk is fun?
I might have done, but you can see my desk. There's not an awful lot of organising that goes on.
Can't be that fun.
So what about the story engine? What do they say about the story engine?
So they say the story engine keeps the information about the game state, which is used to determine the ending of the story. So I guess it's just a case of based on your money and your reputation,
you get an alternative ending.
So that was interesting. I was on positive money, and I made the match that I thought was closest.
Yeah.
And now I'm on minus 110, and that is a terrifyingly negative amount of money to be on.
I think that's because of the probability score. So you must have just...
Your partner's still doing a buying spree. I should probably tell her off for that.
So,
oh my god! Wow! Look at this.
Oh my goodness.
Oh wow! It keeps going.
That's a lot of bills.
Yeah.
How much is your car insurance? Because it seems to be every day something goes wrong.
Right.
So I can understand what they're doing here. So what they have is they have they have a premise, they have a thing that you set out, and there's also some nice narrative elements in the story. So all of these portfolios are interesting little characterization portraits, which are kind of fun to read.
So I was going to say, only a couple of them seem to be frogs, and it'd be nice if there was some sort of froggy puns. In
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then,
it
hey,
could be
here
a
we
bit
go,
more.
Steve Frogs.
Steve
So-
Frogs. Yeah, you're right.
So I must admit,
maybe we just don't know what frog is in enough languages. Maybe that's what they've done.
I do have to wonder about the actual narrative elements of this as well. In particular, there doesn't, beyond the pseudo-moral choices, there doesn't seem to be a lot going on with our family.
There's no feedback in terms of why our reputation happened, why our money's gone up or down, and whether they sort of matched other than that clash.
This is where I was going to about saying, it has narrative elements, but actually it isn't telling us the story of the game.
Although this isn't sort of tutorialized coursework, I would have really liked to have been a little bit introduced to the concept.
Yeah.
It's overwhelmed completely.
Like the first one, why aren't they
just
just two frogs?
Exactly. And one really obviously good.
And again,
really
first 3
obviously
rounds, just a couple of frogs and no money issues, and you build your money up, and then the pressures start to come in. But that's to do with the balancing, isn't it?
And the thing is, while it's not totally trivial to just add more and more levels, the bulk of the game is sort of this sort of physics simulation and getting the triggers all lined up and stuff. Actually, just writing these dossiers, it'd be quite easy to add like a sort of just a first introductory level.
Yeah.
You try to get rid of your bills.
So they've got the kind of cumulative choice, a cumulative agency going on, in that you have essentially 2 stats that will live with you through, I presume, 10 rounds of the game, and that gives you a different outcome. So that is there. But again, there's just a lack of points during the gameplay where narrative is being reinforced.
Do you know how many
and the consequences of your...
Can you match multiple people and then get double the money?
We can try. So interestingly, it's sort of got in the other choice, this one, with the moral element, because I cannot find a good match for this person in this pile of matches. But hey, I can take a bribe, so may as well take what was likely to be a reputation hit anyway. There we go, and we made 110 money, and we lost most of it. I'm now 5 money less than...
So you did put 2 people in there then?
This is true. I wonder which one it picked.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
See, that is a bit...
See, if we could just kill our wife, that would be so much easier.
Or match her with a princess.
Yes.
Or is it our
I was thinking, can we match ourselves with a princess, and then just steal them blind, rob them blind?
So what about the
loud noises?
What about the kind of the other elements here, like the characterizations, the pacing?
French for frog. Sorry, that is French for frog.
There you
So
are.
there are frog.
I think there's more froggy stuff in here than we know.
Yeah.
So what do we think about the things like the pacing, the characterization, the match-up between the story and the mechanics? I mean, popping it like this as a kind of a frog princess matching simulator is actually quite fun, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's
still
a
got
nice
sort of
take
idea
on it.
of, like, not quite hidden identities and sort of picking. It's almost, it's almost sort of very thematically broken, because it's looking beyond the fact that they are frogs and trying to find the right match for them.
Yeah, so I think that works really nicely.
This guy again, he keeps cropping up.
But again, I think the things we've been talking about, you could argue are pacing problems. In that you're straight into it.
There's also little resolution. There's sort of there's not much resolution to the story. So we keep matching people, but we don't really find out how well it went. And it'd be nice if there was, even if they had just like 5, they'd written sort of 5 date outcomes, and they picked one based on the probability of the match.
Yeah.
Although, what is there to link this to the story apart from Dead Neighbour Frogs?
So we got a very slight reputation boost there, and lost 130.
Yeah. So I think Tom's point was that the story is really about
the individual stories of each sort of princess and frog, really.
And the Princess and the Frog is all about looking below the surface, and kind of things are not always as they appear, and people can have sort of hidden values. And that does kind of fit this idea of kind of you have these frogs, but you're trying to match them up. So I think that's quite a cute little conceit. So I'm desperate for you to get to. Let's just chuck a couple in, and let's see the end.
150 gold, right?
Go on then.
So
Let's
we'll
put
put the
Frank with
150 and the 70 gold guy in, and hopefully we'll get bribed by both.
Go on, see what happens then.
No,
just chuck Frank in.
What's that employee warning? So we're now at low reputation as well.
Alright, so we're going to lose this then, probably.
Well,
so come on, Steve Frogs.
Just pop Steve Frogs in.
I suspect there's 10 rounds, because that's a nice round number.
That's what I'm thinking. I vaguely remember that from the Let's Play, from the Expo.
Right. Simulation reflection.
You have reached the end.
Of your simulation.
So that's the one thing is, it didn't really need to be a simulation.
No, I don't understand
it's
why.
heavily inspired by that bit in Prey.
Yes. But I think it actually takes away from some of the dramatic tension, which is meant to be your family is
Yes,
suffering.
yes,
because
you're right.
If it had been, here is your employee questionnaire, congratulations, you get the job, and then at the end it's, here is your employee review.
Yes,
Mm.
that would work better. Right, let's see what they said.
Alright. You were offered 24 and took 5. 24 what? Bribes?
I assume bribes?
Your rotation was at 20%. Your bank account's balance is minus 20.
Minus 20 is pretty good considering how many bills we had.
Yeah.
You were
5.
having out of rotation.
Well, that's because we kept getting billed by a wife that...
Can you take them to the tribunal?
Your partner. I didn't say it was your wife. It could
This
just
is
be-
true, partner.
Could have been a high rolling husband.
So, okay, it won't matter because soon they'll be 6 foot under.
Yeah.
Right. Using the game stats presented in the previous screen,
Think of the choices you performed during the simulation and how they may or may not. Yeah. Again. So I understand what they're trying to do here.
But it doesn't really gel with the rest of the narrative, does it?
No, and this doesn't fit with the story, and the questions. I think it doesn't actually tell you very much because the context is so radically
Well,
different.
they're also a bit on the nose, particularly the
Yes.
should people take bribes?
Yes.
And then sort of forcing you to take the bribes.
List of questions. So this is also more endlessly scrolling slow text.
and it didn't really build up that investment in your characters. When you say you shouldn't take bribes, you didn't feel bad later on for them taking the bribes because there was
because first of all it's a simulation. Second of all, you really have to because of the context. And actually, your answer is the moral answer, given that you're supporting your family.
Yeah.
So, So I think okay.
I think certainly for me,
end.
they've tried to do a lot of very interesting things here, and it's not quite come through well enough.
Yes.
To create a nice, coherent narrative.
Yeah. I mean, the game itself, I think, is quite
Yeah.
nice, nicely executed.
I definitely needed some more tweaking and balancing, particularly with sometimes it was incredibly hard to spot a good match, and very unrewarding to spot a good match.
I think more, for me, the thing that will make the biggest difference, or the two things that make the biggest difference, is first of all for pacing to lead into it with some simpler things and set you up, and second of all have more narrative outcomes during the game, so you can see what is happening to your family, you can see what is happening to the matches, and actually trying to make you see the consequences of your actions. But
especially they could have done some nice things involving sort of the player character in there. Yeah, there a lot more as well.
Okay, cool. Should we move on? Okay, so our next game is
It's the Stanley Parody.
So I'm guessing this has got something to do with the Stanley Parable.
So I'll definitely make sure we have sound on for this.
Just as a thought.
Let's double check that.
Here we go.
I imagine this is a fairly narration heavy game.
Okay,
It is
the
indeed.
Stanley Parody. Okay, so Max is taking the reins here. Off we go.
This is a story of a donkey named
Maybe
Stanley.
we should turn it down a bit.
Stanley worked hard every day on a southern English farm. But one day he overheard his master make up rather ominous plans for his future. So he decided to leave and go to Southampton to become a musician. Stanley headed towards the open gate.
Aha! The little
So,
tutorial elements are good.
Contextual tutorial, so you can see.
Yeah.
Also, I like that they had subtitles over the narration.
And good narration as well, and well executed, and nice to zoom in and bring it down.
It's those chickens again.
Yeah.
The whole way they used the camera there was very nice.
Yeah. So what was our goal again? We've got to
You can't jump. Go through the gate. Interesting. I would have expected another.
Couple more narrative.
yes, something to certainly as we left the farm.
I have.
Stanley
There we
exited
go.
the farm and headed up a dirt road. As he was staring into the morning sun, he was momentarily blinded.
Why can a bright light blind me?
Stanley thought.
And why can a loud noise deafen me? But why isn't there any smell or taste that can hurt you?
That's quite profound.
Ah,
I feel like they could
Well-
use HDR to get me good light.
there are, okay. There
So
are
there's
plenty of
nothing
things you
this
can
way.
taste that can hurt you, but there you are.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look as much this way.
So we're kind of being canyoned, which is fine.
The landscape looks very odd here.
So one of my criticisms of this game at Sonia Expo is it has a couple of segments
When
like this.
approaching a fork in the road, Stanley chose the path on his left.
So reasonably long segments without any particular narrative happening.
So I'm just wondering what happens if I go right.
That's sort of lifted straight out of the Stanley Parable.
That is exactly it, isn't it?
Lost in his thoughts, Stanley headed right, away from Southampton. Perhaps he wished to explore the surroundings for a while.
I don't know if I made the right choice or the wrong choice.
Well, it's kind of playing with agency, isn't it? That's the.
So the original Stanley Parable is all about the idea of sort of agency.
Turning around the corner, Stanley saw a rather sheepish sheep.
That's an adorable sheep.
It does look quite sheepish.
He approached her and asked what was wrong.
I got lost from my home.
The sheep replied,
I like the sort of effort they put into the voice acting. That's nice.
I've been searching for my fellow sheep for a few days.
Yeah.
But to no avail.
All is not lost.
said Stanley.
Come with me to Southampton, where we can become musicians.
You ever
And
notice?
so, the sheep followed Stanley in his journey.
So
Isn't it astounding how quickly a strong bond can form between his soul?
Its legs are moving. It's actually animated.
So there's another nice thing they've done here, which is that we've talked a bit on some of the other games we've looked at, but the text is too long, and here it's quite punchy.
It's so green.
You know, so small little excerpts, and even then, that whole piece with the sheep was really brief.
You noticed how often the solution to problems in the Travelling Musicians is let's just go become musicians.
Yeah.
If that works in reality.
Sure enough, a house could be seen amongst the trees.
I'm slightly disappointed
Our heroes
that they
walked
don't
forward
actually
with
become
confidence.
musicians at the end.
They had no way of knowing how dangerous a group of robbers was hiding inside.
Quick turnaround.
I was
Stanley
gonna say-
walked first to the door and knocked. He was greeted with rather angry face by the lead robber,
So they've taken
who
control of
imprisoned
you,
our
haven't they?
old friends in the cellar. He wasn't going to kill them. Rather, he did something even more horrible. He forced them to join his endeavor and become robbers too.
Meh. Standing. So that's quite nice at the end. It kind of just
Highlights that there are other endings.
and I like the fact well, I don't like the fact it took your agency review, but it's an effective way of saying, okay, at this point we need to resolve it in a
So
particular
what did I
way.
do wrong there?
Who knows? Try again. Go left.
I don't want to go to Southampton.
But
So that's a good
it's a
point
silly
though.
place.
What did I do wrong there? It's not a particularly meaningful choice which ending you decide to head for.
Okay.
We found 37% as the narration.
And one ending. Right, I'm gonna turn this down a bit so we can chat over the narration, which is very good. But okay, so Max is gonna go this, and you're gonna go left, right?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay.
No left.
So I liked the sheep. The sheep was quite cool, both in terms
But
of
what's the point of talking to the sheep?
It looks very different from the sheep
It
here.
didn't actually make any impact on the narrative later on. That was all down to the robbers.
So
Can we talk to the cow or anything before we go? That's an adorable cow as well.
You can stare into its eyes.
It's cold, dead eyes.
So okay,
So
what do we think about the quality here? So
Max, if you go right rather than through the gate, you can actually go around the fence. If you got that.
why would you do that?
I was trying to jump over the fence earlier, but you can't jump.
Do we get a special dialogue thing for?
Oh. Okay. That's quite cute. Nice. So quality. Game world's good. The trottles look fairly like easy to use, responsive. The narration works really well.
There's not a huge amount of actual gameplay other than this exploration.
Well, yeah. What are the mechanics here other than the walking sim style?
I think that is the only real mechanic is your ability to move around the game world.
So it's sort of leaning towards more interactive narrative than it is game.
So the problem is that the Stanley Parable kind of works because it poses some interesting questions, right? So you immediately start off by saying, why is the world like this? And you explore to find out what's happened to your, I'm trying to remember now, your fellow workers, isn't it?
Yeah, you start off
Colleagues.
just in your office just pressing buttons and you can keep pressing those buttons essentially forever.
But then you notice that people are missing and like but there's nothing.
Other than we want to become a musician, we
following the
don't
dream.
have.
Yeah.
So it gives you a very strong call to adventure, the Stanley Parable, which
Yes.
is perhaps. I mean, this gives you some call to adventure with the whole "you're going to be turned into glue if you don't go."
Yeah.
I think for me, one of the big challenges this game has is. So, ominous questions, right?
But that's the thing. None of them have any real relation to the story, other than sort of just solo musings while you're on a long journey.
I mean, you know.
They're nice and they're
I like this
flavoursome,
though.
but
Oh, the M3 for Southampton. Fantastic.
They work so well in the Stanley Parable because the Stanley Parable is using this as a narrative technique to explore agency
and introspection, and
which isn't so much a theme of the
Are
travelling
you going the
musicians.
wrong way?
It really wants me to go this way, doesn't it?
Does it? Or is it the other way?
I don't. It says go that way, but why would I not go this way? I can go to London instead. It's much better than.
Okay. So, in terms of the narrative and the story engine?
I don't know. It triggers certain events when you get to certain parts in it. But
Yeah. So,
and that's the thing. It's not a case of just things are unlocked.
I was hit
to
by a
progress
vehicle
the story.
apparently.
You have decisions that you can make that are made through sort of literally choosing a path rather than
yeah.
sort of
Yeah.
in dialogue or something.
I mean,
so
there
there is a story engine,
And there is narrative being delivered, and the narrative is responding to your gameplay because it's triggered from where you go, and
and it seems like it might maintain sort of a state. So when we picked up the
Yeah.
sheep and then went to the robbers, it did remember that there were more than one animals.
yes.
I think.
So did I fly at the beginning?
It'd be interesting to pick up the sheep and then turn around and go the other way.
Yeah. Or avoid the sheep and go straight to the robbers when
Yeah.
you
Let's see if we can get to the
get to Southampton.
get to the oasis that is Southampton.
Are you stuck?
Oh. So what about what about the themes, the narrative, how it gels with the gameplay?
So, travelling musicians, the theme's all about companionship and teamwork and
Yeah.
that kind of thing, right?
So the problem is there isn't really
There isn't
any
that.
consequence for picking up the other animals, right? It's referenced, but it's not meaningful for what happens.
It's not like the sheep could help get us out of trouble.
I
Yeah.
believe there may be one ending where having animals makes a difference,
Yeah.
but it's certainly not a consistent theme.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean,
And it was also fairly arbitrary that we found the sheep because we went in the opposite direction the narrator told us to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I mean, again, I think people, it's only when you start putting these things together that you realise that actually doing something like this and making it work is actually a lot harder
Really difficult, yeah.
than building narrative around in some sort of existing game framework, because the only mechanics you have are the mechanics of the narrative, which in this case is movement, right? So it's locative storytelling, effectively, and the only payoffs you have are narrative. But that means you have to have a story structure where people are invested in the story, and that the alternative endings have real value and meaning, and that all of the logic is all of the feedback to the player is given through the narration. All the motivation and the goal setting is done through the narration. It's really difficult to pull it off.
And that's one of the things the Stanley Parable does is it has different endings, but it doesn't necessarily have the good ending and the bad ending.
No.
So in this, we're sort of, I don't know, I would be getting frustrated that, okay, we've tried twice and we've got the meh ending and the bad ending and not the good ending, so we have to keep grinding our way through it until we get the good one. Stanley Parable has endings that you can sort of decide for yourself whether they're good or bad or just plain weird.
But every ending is inherently interesting and different.
And entirely different. It's not just...
But again, because the narrative itself works, it's kind of setting up an interesting premise that you are discovering and getting involved in.
When I turned right here, I got hit by a car. I'm not sure what stops me getting hit by a car going left.
And that's that feels just like
that's just
we didn't plan for this game over.
Yeah. So pacing wise as well.
Do I go on the motorway or do I?
Go on.
So I believe the left goes to a bad ending, but the motorway goes to a good ending.
Really?
Well, I got hit by going on the motorway before.
So this is definitely a way to a good ending. I don't know what happens if you go the other way.
Let's try it. Oh. So it's taking control of you again. Oh.
Steering wheel's on the wrong side of the car.
I was going to say this is Poor choice of assets.
Southampton, Canada.
Oh look, we get some real pictures.
Oh wow.
It's political.
This is the good ending. This is why you should never go on strike. Interesting.
You've achieved the reality ending. Southampton is on strike.
That's a brave move.
It's very brave, but fun. All right, so so where were we? So the pacing. Again, there's not an awful lot of pacing stuff goes on. Characterization
I know
is
where
a bit
they are.
lacking.
It's so long to go through.
It's very slow paced. There are sort of like those little sort of bits of flavour dialogue to sort of keep you amused the first time you see it, but when you have to go through it again, I mean, you've seen them all before, and there's enough time between those choices that you get to make.
I kind of know where the paths are, but now I have to go through this again to get to the paths.
I think we've probably seen enough. I think we should probably move on.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
And that's our last game, I think.
You're right, it is. Okay, so that's our last game. So thank you very much for watching, and we'll be back later with another video.